Hello friends, today I'm going to talk about one of the most you know important poem. It's about the ultimate goal of life, that is death. So most of us, we don't talk about death, and this poet, Emily Dickinson, she has described the death as one of important event. So she thinks like it's a marriage. So death is like a marriage where we get into another life. So that we'll discuss how she perceives, how she able to accept the death, how death can be. So actually what we think, death is evil, death is a cruel. So we never talk about, we don't give time for death. It's not tolerable, so we cannot speak death, the word death, so easily. But this poet, the speaker, is talking death is a one more step towards the eternity. She describes all difficulties, the stress experienced from the childhood, from the schools till the end of life. We are suffering, so we are bounded or controlled or monitored by the stress. And one or the other reasons, we are always suffering under the stress, or there is some sort of pressure. Because our life has been put in a frame, the lifespan, they decided only this much life, so we have to do this or that. We are trying to accomplish one or the other in a life. So that makes our life so stressed. So there is a time constraint, there is a time limitation. But when it's an eternity, we don't have the restrictions or time constraints. So that is, the poet goes very calmly and very softly. She spoke about death. She is not afraid of death. She is prepared. She willing. So it is the journey. She describes this a journey. So we have seen journey is used in many places. Many we come across. So from ignorance to knowledge, we make journey, 10 or 15 years of our academics where we learn, we get educated. This also journey. But she's taking the journey of life. That is, she starts and we reach the life and we reach the end of life. And after life we are going to reach. So this is, we are traveling. So it's a journey, we are passing. And also she assumes the chariot, the carriage will come, and she's comparing with you think like death is like a gentleman. So death is a noveling, actually it is a personification. She's describing, so he's a gentleman, he comes and he knocks. So even I am not interested, I am not going, I am not worried about that, I don't have time. But he comes, he remembers, and he comes with the carriage and he takes and he passes and he goes with all the stages and he shows and reaches the grave head. So that's how this is the poem describing from journey of death to the grave head, and then how she accepts and there is a life after this as well. So that is what this poem is about. And this is a very, it is, every sentence of this poem is packed with so much of, it gives a food for thought. So read each stanzas and we are experiencing. And she's never married, and she thought she's, so she focused more about spirituality, and in that aspect, so death is, it's like, it's the ultimate goal of human life. So after this death, we have a wonderful life. She believes, so that is where we have a life. After death, after life, where we start, that is, we move to eternity. So that's some imagination. So something made her to accept this, what we call, we never accept the death so easily. It's not tolerable. We don't talk with other people, its relatives or close friends. So, but she talks. She describes her journey as a wonderful, that she likes. This is a part of, it's a part of life, death, and again life. Something, so moving to immortality, or it is called moving towards eternity. So moving, at the end she speaks about she's getting married to another life. So that is a death, that is a ceremony where this death has been taking place, funeral, what we talk. And let us go with this poem and try to understand how she's experiencing and feeling the acceptance of death. Because I could not stop for death, because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage yelled, but just ourselves and immortality. So here she's saying, because I could not stop for death, so I cannot have a time for, I don't have a time for death. I don't have a time to thinking of death. So now I'm going to die, so maybe I've forgotten. I don't have a time to think of death. So indirectly, everyone, each one of us, we never have a time. So in a tight schedule in our day-to-day life, we never come across, and death comes. So she says, he kindly stopped for me. So he only informed. So he only came to me. And she describing him as a gentleman. So he came, he stopped for me. And how he came? He came with a carriage. So carriage means it is not like a normal carriage. It's a special type of death chariot, you can call. It's a special type of carrier. It came. So she's describing the death. A nice gentleman, which I was forgotten, and I'm busy with something else, and I don't have a time for this. He remembers me and he stops. He comes with the carriage and informs. That is how she's accepting when death arrives. So we are afraid. She's not afraid. She's politely. So I forgot this. How good you are, how nice gentleman, you remember, this is my time has been came. So something she was expressing him as a nice gentleman. So the carriage held. So in that carriage, just ourselves, so she's describing. So she and the gentleman, that is the death. And one more is the word ourselves. So when we talk about ourselves, so it is something relevant, very close to us. So that is one more is waiting and sitting in that carriage. So that was immortality. So now we are going with immortality. So there is already a passenger who is residing, and this gentleman came to pick me to move along with immortality. So this is the where the link starts, and we start leaving this, this human life, human. So when we reach, that is the link. So when death comes and we go with after the death, that is we passing. We are going with death means there is accomplished or accompanied by the immortality. That's the difference between mortality and immortal, life and death. So there is already somebody is there, a co-passenger waiting in the chariot or the carriage. That's the special carriage. So we slowly drove. He knew no haste, and I had to put away my labor and my leisure too for his serenity. So he came and started. He did not make hurry. Yes, he knew no haste. So he knows. So it's not hurry to go immediately. So he did not forcing. So he just drove. How we are moving means very slowly. For his serenity, so for his work, what she did means, so I have to put away my labor. So whatever I am doing my work in a real life, that has to put an end. That I don't carry these works what I am doing in this real life, that is in this life, and that has to put off. That I have to stop. And also she says a leisure too. So what my leisure time, what I had free time, so everything has to leave for his serenity, for his work. That is what his work. So he is not making too hurry, or is not making it scenario. Let's go, but he's driving slowly, so that whatever the work I had, so I had to stop. So I had to stop this work, and even I had a leisure time, that too has to be given. That I cannot carry along with this. So that how indirectly, so in our life, how we busy when death comes, we stop there and we leave everything. Whether we are enjoying life, you might have seen some people sleeping in the bed morning, they don't, so they are died. Some people doing some work and they died. So the 32, 35 years of people will die because of some reason. And some people die some leisure. So indirectly she is speaking about when death comes, so whatever we had in this life should believe that there itself, and you have to go along with immortality. So that is the chariot comes, see some carriage comes, so we have to stop everything what we are doing in real life, and then we have to go with this without carrying anything, leisure or free time what we have and what we accomplished in this life. So everything has to be given up here only. We cannot carry. So that's why at the end when we die, nothing will we take away from this world. So we just leave everything. So how effectively she describes, how effectively she says in simple way. She's not worrying, so I built this, so many things I made in life, and I cannot take this with me. Can I take this? Can I put this? No, this is my favorite. This is I should I take? No, something I have this type of time pass. I want to enjoy this leisure. Can I take this? Can I have some more time? No, we have to leave everything and we have to go. That is the real life we have seen. We have to leave everything in this planet, and that is the life we have to give, and just we have to move without carrying anything. So, next she says, We pass the school where children stroll at recess in the ring. We pass the fields of gazing grain. We pass the setting sun. So here she wants, so when we going, so the carriage is going on. There are, there's two things we have to understand here. So one, it is, we passed, and that is indirectly, I have enjoyed my childhood, and then youth, and then old age, that is where we are reaching death. She thinks like that. So that is, so even there, she tried to describe, so when some carries something goes with not usual means, everyone will look this, what is this, a new thing, something. So the children playing, so that is now children is also under the stress, under the, what we call, the, during the play. So when you play that maybe ringa roses or something, some leisure time, so the ring we are making them playing. So then also we have a stress. So this stress start from the early age, that is from the childhood itself. Start playing, I have to win the game. So that is, you play basketball, you play cricket, and whatever we do, so we want to win. So there is a stress. She's indirectly saying, so we are not thinking of eternity. These are all not much important in life, but we are running behind this. So becoming a number one, I want to do this, I want to achieve this, I want to do some great things. So where it started means it started from the childhood. She's describing, so the pressure, the stress experienced in the human life start from the childhood. That is because we never thought of immortality, because the time, I want to achieve, I have to finish it up this time only, I have to do. If school they give assignment, I have to within 24 hours, tomorrow I have to submit. Then also the work you are going through, next week I have to submit project or something. So this is all stressed because this is a life she's explaining. Even I passed this, and that is she's describing. We pass the school where children stroll at recess in the ring. So that is when they are free time, so they are playing. And even that play also we passed, we saw this. That is indirectly she crossed, she enjoyed the childhood, early childhood of her life. We passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. So after this gazing grain, so here what happens means, so after this we become grown up, maturity. So we become a more matured people, and that is also past. So that is also have gone through. That is, she's indirectly describing journey of life with this journey. She's describing parallelly. We have child, and then we become gazing grains on the field. So when they become a fully developed, same way she gazing. So that is where she also come across, and also setting sun. The setting sun here indicates, just if it's a journey means they moving from morning to evening. This where and all we go and we reach. Setting sun represents here the old age. That's the end of life, towards the ended days of life. So that is how we are going. So it's a parallel. She's describing we are moving by seeing these things. Indirectly, she crossed all those things. Death is showing these as already happened with her life. And she's not worried. It's a fact. She's waiting. She's accepting all these things and enjoying this journey as well. And she says, or rather, he passed us. And rather, so this is a time, death, he passed all those things. So rather than we say, we pass the schools and we go through all those things, so he passed us all the childhood, and then it comes to the adult, and then it comes to the settings of old age. So rather than I would say I'm passing these things, I'm journey is going. He took up the journey, that is a death, takes from this the birth to death. So he showed all this. This is how we passed in the life. Next, so the dews drew quailing and chill, for only gossamer, my gown, my tippet, only to let. So she's saying, so I'm feeling a shaking cold, very chilled cold. I'm feeling for only gossamer. So what I'm wearing right now, a thin material, a fabric which is worn on the body, on her body, she's wearing, and also gown and put on the neck, and also a tippet and also tulip. So these are the see normally she thinks these are the things which are worn during the wedding. So in Christian wedding, so we use a gown, long white gown. So white gown and this what we call the other things what she described, my gown, my tippet. So these are all who are trying to marry to the God. And nuns normally they use, so the people thinks married, that is nuns or already married, that's why they don't marry in this real world, so they are married to the Christ, Jesus. And this is exactly, they will be owning the, what we call, the, what is that name is known as a tippet and gown. They normally wear, that is indications they are married, she is married to Jesus. And indirectly, there is because she is influenced by the Bible, that is Christianity, she thinks so death or funeral is like a wedding ceremony. So so in wedding normally what happens means when I'm a girl, a marriage to a bride, a marriage to groom, a man, so then she's she's surrendering, she's giving her life to him, saying that take care of my life from here onwards. So far I'm a righteous, that is the pure white, the dress they wore is to show the righteousness. That is, so far everything is done correctly, I'm doing better. So now I'm handovering to you and you have to take. So now I'm reaching death. Death means she thinks it is not funeral. See, she's not afraid. So when we enjoy, so when there's a marriage, my marriage means, so my wedding means definitely we are happy. We wanted this day to happen. That's how she's thinking. Because so that's why she's think death is a marriage. So it's a marriage ceremony. She was accepting that, and it's instead of being sorrowful, she is celebrating this. I'm going to marry. This is a wedding ceremony where I am getting a new life. Your own words. That is what her imagination. That is so powerful. That is how she is able to accept this as a marriage, death as a wedding ceremony. That's how it's like she's dressed up. That's why she's feeling a soft cloth and shivering chill, and also all other things. Gossamer, what we have she worn, and what is the template she's using, and also the gown. So that signifies that is her imagination. She's right now feeling with a death. Death is, she thinks it's an alternative life. So after this, we have one more a beautiful life. And then, so we'll continue. Next, she says, we paused before house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible. the cornice in the ground. So we passed before house. So this journey, as we are traveling, we reached. So we reached, where means we reached the house. So this is, she's saying we have reached the house. What is this house? Actually, it's a grave hand. So she's not using the word grave hand. That's like certain fear within us. So she don't want to name that grave hand. So she's saying we have reached the house. We passed. We reached. We stopped. We stopped and we reached the house. See, she's how wonderfully she's described. So that is the place where after death we are going to live. So this is somewhere I'm joining some other view. She's describing that death had, that's what we call graveyard as a house. So when we feel a graveyard means a certain fear is within us. So when we say it's an house, that's where we comfortable. So we are happy to live there. That's like a new house. So where she's shifting to that house along with immortality. So that is the feelings right now she's having. And she's describing that house. So a swelling of the ground, so a house that seemed a swelling of ground, the roof was clearly visible, the cornice in the ground. So you might have seen, so that it looks like, so come out of the ground and so it is clearly visible. And cornice, so where we have the wall above the ceilings, so normally we go for interiors, so there we put it. So that is inside the ground. So that is below. So that doesn't make difference. That is where I'm going to stay. That's where I'm changing my life to something new. So this is how she thinks. It doesn't care what type of house now you have, what type of interiors you may got, but at the end when we reach this house, this is what that doesn't. So that will be below the ground, and we may not find that doesn't make difference. So that the interiors, what we are going to have, normally we use interiors to hide certain things. A ceiling, below the ceilings we have something. So that is below the ground, so that doesn't make difference. Indirectly she's describing this materials, that's materialistic, what we are using in life or of no use. That doesn't make much difference when we go to our own house which is available under the ground. That's indirectly signifying. So these are all nothing when you go that house. Since then, it's centuries and that feels shorter than a day. I first summarized the horse's earthward towards eternity. Since then, so after its centuries of after death, still we feel a presence of so reading these poems of her, and we are thinking, and also the time constants here, the shorter than the day. She was describing, so this time constraints or time frame in human real life is, that's why we do so many things. We want to do this in a short period of time. We have to do that, and that is how the pressure of the time constraints the time. So that it's looked like because of this, what happens entire our life, it looks like half of the day. That's a small time. So when there is no time constraints, when we go out of this time constraints, there is an eternity. There is nothing. It's very calmly, you can cool comfortably without being pressurized, without being stressful, you can live life. So she's bringing back to the beginning of the poem. So the first summarized, the horse's head were towards the eternity. So where this horses, that's a carriage we come across, so they're taking us to the eternity. So when we reach the eternity, there we don't find all these things. So what we have experienced right now, the time constraints or the pressure, so there is no limitation, there is no time, there is no boundary, there is no restriction. So this full of life where you can have. This is how she feels and wants to conclude that eternity is what is the goal of our life. So after death, the death is just like a wedding ceremony where we are heading to one more beautiful life, that is the eternity. So there is no stressful, there you can live happily or comfortably, whatever the word you want to describe, you use it. But that is the goal she believes. So that is how she thinks. So it's not so easy to express, to accept death in such a way that I'm going to die tomorrow, no problem, I have eternity, I'll reach eternity. But it may be true or may not be true, and none of us have known these facts. These are all imaginary and theoretical concepts, but still I do not, with my limited knowledge, I can say this is a wonderful imagination where we do not afraid of death. Where Swami Vivekananda says once, so death is like changing cloth. So it's like changing cloth. We move from one human body to another human body. It goes on like changing. So here also she says we are moving to eternal life. There is a one more life after death. So that is where we can live comfortably, happily. So somehow it is very tricky, complicated to figure out the exact feeling. What she had in her mind about death is very difficult. So I cannot interpret according to she what she had thought. But what I can understand, there is a substitute